Hey guys, welcome to Tabletop Warbands! In today's video we play Kill Team with Intercession Squad against the Death Guard. I'm Simone and I'll play the Space Marines.
Hi, I'm Andrea and I will play the Death Guard. Before we started, if you are subscribed to the channel, welcome back. If you are not subscribed yet and want to help us, join our growing community now by clicking on the subscribe button. And don't forget to activate the bell so you don't miss the next battle reports. Thank you guys!
I would like to remind you that this month's exclusive battle report for our patrons will be a Kill Team one. If you like following every detail of the story of the planet Hesperia, or if you enjoy our battle reports, please consider the idea to join our Patreon. But now, let's get back to the game. Today's mission is Hasty Defense. The two kill teams will have to deploy within these two areas. There are 3 points of interest and they are arranged in this way.
The victory points will be assigned at the end of the last 2 rounds. We adapt the wounds characteristic of every friendly operative inside the defender's drop zone, and the player with the highest number gains victory points. Also, at the end of the battle, we gain 2 victory points for every console under our control.
The Death Guard have taken control of the Catacombs of the Sisters, and through this have gained access to the network of tunnels that lead under the city. One of those tunnels leads to the water plant that supplies the city. Nargol's followers want to poison the water and bring the entire population to their knees. A team of Marines has been tasked with intercepting them in time and eliminate the threat before the damage is irreversible. The Intercession Squad is made up of 6 Marines. The leader is an Assault Intercessor Sergeant armed with Plasma Pistol and Chainsword. The Explosive Specialist is the Grenadier, who has Krag and Frag Grenades with him. The Gunner is an Intercessor Marine and is armed with Auxiliary Grenade Launcher and the Stalker Bolt Rifle. Finally, there are 3 Assault Intercessor Warriors. The Chapter Tactics skills I have chosen for them are Unyielding and Rapid. This means my Marines have an additional triangle of movement and 1 additional wound. Finally, as equipment, I assigned a Tilting Shield to an Assault Intercessor Warrior, an Auspex to the other warrior, and a Purity Seal to the leader.
After infiltrating the tunnels of the city, the Death Guard has found the entrance to a water plant. With such an unexpected gift, it would be a shame not to poison the water. I'm sure if you succeed, Nargol will be pleased. The Kill Team is formed by 2 Plague Marines fire teams. The first team consists of a Plague Marine Champion, my leader, equipped with a Bolt Gun and Power Fist, a Plague Marine Gunner with his trusty Plasma Gun, and a Plague Marine Warrior. The second fire team consists of a Plague Marine Heavy Gunner armed with a Blight Launcher, a Plague Marine Icon Bearer, and a Plague Marine Warrior. As additional equipment, I gave Mephitic Toxin to every operative but the leader, for a total of 10 equipment points.
My team has the possibility to deploy along the entire lower edge of the battlefield and access several entrances to the central sector. Andrea, however, chose to block the central and the right arches, so the only choice I have is to deploy to the left. I don't have enough time to go around the sector and access the arches behind him, so I'll have to force my way through the only available path that the Death Guard controls. Wish me luck!
Since I deployed first, I decided to seal the 2 doors on the left, leaving open only the one in the back and the one on the right. The operatives are divided in 3 groups. On the left, there's the Blight Launcher and a Marine Warrior. They will control the 2 corridors near the hatch. Then, near the console in the center of the room, there are the Plasma and the other warrior waiting to see the enemy's movements. And on the right, there are the leader and the Icon Bearer, who will try to slow the advance of the Space Marines.
It's time to do the scouting phase. Each of us chooses a number of dice equal to the corresponding number of the choice. 1 for Fortify, 2 for Infiltrate and 3 for Recon. Blue dice for the Space Marines and green dice for the Death Guard. We both chose Recon. In this mission the initiative will always be with the attacker, in this case the Space Marines.
Being the defender, I move first. The Plasma dashes 3 inches to the left.
An Assault Intercessor moves forward 3 inches toward the hatch. In the first round, I reveal the TACOP Route. If one of my operatives within 6 inches of the opponent's drop zone incapacitates an enemy operative, I score 1 victory point.
I reveal the TACOP Central Control. At the end of the turning point, I gain a victory point if the total APL of friendly operative within 3 inches of the center of the battlefield is higher than that of the enemy.
Mirko moves towards an ideal point to breach, then places an explosive charge and with the third action, blows it up, opening a hole in the wall.
Marvin opens the door and goes outside the room.
Ronald opens the door in front of him, then enters the room and reaches the wall on the opposite side.
Alex has nothing to do, so he passes his turn.
Lucius enters the room with movement and dash, managing to reach the hatch. With his last action, he positions himself on guard.
Anderson goes within 3 inches of the center of the battlefield with movement and dash.
Lokin tries to reach an advanced position. His goal is to go around the central sector to hit the Death Guard from behind.
Naomi moves back behind the console and uses her ability Icon of Decay. Every operative within 3 inches of her can reroll 1 and 2s when rolling for the ability Disgustingly Resilient. Then goes on guard.
Anya, the leader, enters the room and positions himself behind the console, waiting to spot enemies to shoot.
Mark opens the door of the room.
Lucius sees the door open and immediately opens fire on the enemy leader, 4 shots at 4+. 1 critical hit and 1 normal.
He scored a crit, so I have -1 penetration, rolling 2 dice at 3+ to save. Just a normal hit save. 4 dice to roll thanks to Disgustingly Resilient. With 5+, the wounds suffered are ignored. Rerolling the ones thanks to the Icon's ability. 3 wounds through. Mark is left with 10 wounds. He didn't like being shot, so he aims his plasma pistol at the Marine in front of him and shoots in 4 overcharged shots at 2+. Wow! Rerolling 1 with a command point. 2 hit and 6 mortal wounds suffered for the overcharge.
With penetration -2, I can save with only 1 dice at 3+. Okay, at least this is saved.
Rolling for Disgustingly Resilient. Rerolling the 1 and the 2. 3 wounds saved.
Lucius suffers 5 wounds, but is still in good shape.
7 wounds left to Mark. With his last action, Mark goes back a little.
Nur, the gunner, enters the room and positions himself so that he can see the enemy leader, and shoots him with the auxiliary grenade launcher and with a crack grenade. 4 shots at 3+. I use a command point and reroll a dice. 3 hit in total.
-1 penetration, so saving with 2 dice at 3+. Both save, rolling for Disgustingly Resilient, 4 dice at 5+. Rerolling the 2. 1 wound ignored and 4 wounds left to Mark. Luna uses movement and dash to see the Marine outside the door and shoots him for overcharged shots at 3+. All hit!
Lucius has no chance to survive, but before he is eliminated, I use Wrath of Vengeance for a command point. This ploy allows me to take a free shooting action before the model is removed. Lucius fires on the enemy leader, 4 shots at 4+. Only 1, at least it's a critical hit.
-1 penetration, so saving with 2 dice at 3+. Just a normal save. I spend 1 command point for the tactical ploy Revolting Durability, and change the enemy crit into a normal hit. Since Luna has eliminated an enemy, I can reveal the Tac Hope Deadly Marksman. If she eliminates 1 more enemy with a shooting action, I gain a victory point.
The first Marine of my squad has been eliminated. The situation at the end of the first round is quite stable. I expected to lose at least 1 model trying to get closer to the entrance to the central sector. In the next round, I have to try to enter the room and eliminate the first Death Guard models defending the entrance. My only hope is to fight my way through. It won't be easy.
I didn't like this turn too much. My leader is almost dead and he forced me to spend 2 command points for nothing. At least, Luna managed to eliminate a Marine, so all things considered, it's okay. At the end of the turn, I gain 1 victory point for the Tac Hope Central Control.
In the second round, I reveal the faction Tac Hope Shock and Awe. If at the end of the turn my operatives control objectives that were initially under the control of enemy models, I score 1 victory point. Then I use a command point for Tactical Doctrine, which allows me to reroll a dice during shooting actions if the model is within 6 inches of the target. The first model to activate is my gunner, who is perfectly positioned to fire the auxiliary grenade launcher armed with a frag grenade at the enemy leader. This weapon has the blast rule, so it is also able to hit the other 2 Plague Marines next to the target. Let's start with the leader. 4 shots at 3+. All shots hit.
Saving with 3 dice at 3+. All saved, but still 2 damage through. Disgustingly Resilient, 2 dice at 5+. None.
The second target is the Marine with the plasma. 4 shots at 3+. Ah, okay, just a critical hit.
Again, 3 dice at 3+. Saved!
Third and last is the Icon Bearer. 4 shots at 3+ on him too. Much better. A weapon with the blast rule in this mode also has the lethal 5+ rule, so that's 3 critical hits.
Wow! Need 3 6s to save all. 2 normal saves are enough to save 1 crit. Disgustingly Resilient, 8 dice at 5+. Not even 1.
Nur is not done yet. He quickly switches weapons and takes a second shooting action thanks to his ability, and this time he uses the Stalker Bolt Rifle and fires on the enemy leader. 4 shots at 3+. Wow, Nur is shooting great! 3 critical hits and 1 normal.
Okay, 2 dice to defend at 3+. 1 crit and 1 normal save. Disgustingly resilient, I need to save at least 5 dice at 5+. Just 3. Mark is eliminated from the battlefield and Naomi is left with 4 wounds.
Having eliminated a model and being within 6 inches of the opposing drop zone, Noor scores the first victory point. With his last action available, the gunner moves into cover.
Naomi runs to the hatch and closes it. Then goes on guard.
Well, in Italian there is a saying suitable for this situation. When one door shuts, a new and bigger one opens. Ronald places the explosive charge on the wall and detonates it. The wall is completely demolished and a new route is opened. Ronald takes advantage of this and charges the Marine with plasma.
Luna doesn't want to play with him yet, so she disengages and shoots the enemy leader in the other room. 4 overcharged shots at 3+. Rerolling 1 with a command point, 1 crit and 2 normal hits.
-2 penetration, therefore only 1 dice available to save at 3+. 6 is perfect, I can defend a critical hit.
Rolling for disgustingly resilient, 3 dice at 5+. 1 wound ignored.
With 10 wounds suffered, thanks to the additional wound my Marines have, my leader is left with 6.
10 wounds left to Luna.
Mirko moves inside the room, then when he arrives in front of the door, he opens it to try to keep the access to the central sector open.
Naomi is ready to shoot, so she fires Overwatch on the Marine that just opened the door. 4 shots at 4+. 2 normal hits and 1 crit.
3 dice to defend at 3+. I use a command point to roll a dice. Here it is! 1 critical and 1 normal defense. That's 3 wounds suffered. Mirko has 12 wounds left. Not happy with being greeted so rudely, Mirko decides to fight through the hatch. 5 attacks at 3+. All hit, including a critical hit.
Naomi does 3 attacks at 3+. Just 1 hit.
With the first dice, I defend the only dice available to Andrea. Then I inflict damage with the remaining dice.
Okay, need to roll 17 dice at 5+ for disgustingly resilient, and need to save at least 14. I guess I didn't. Naomi leaves the battlefield. Anderson aims his bolt gun at the Marine inside the room and shoots 4 shots at 3+. 1 crit and 2 normal hits.
3 dice at 3+ to defend. Perfect! With 2 dice, I defend a critical hit, plus the 3rd dice defending the normal hit. 3 wounds sustained and Ronald is at 12 wounds. Anya is armed with a plasma pistol that has a range of 6 inches, so he needs to get as close as possible using movement and dash. Arriving at the opening in the wall, he takes aim and fires the plasma pistol at the Marine. 4 shots at 4+ for the injury. 1 critical hit and 1 normal.
-1 penetration, so saving with 2 dice at 3+. Just 1 save. Disgustingly resilient at 5+. 2 wounds ignored and 4 wounds suffered. Alex charges the enemy leader and fights with him. He makes 3 attacks at 3+. Just 2 hit.
Anya fights in turn, making 5 attacks at 3+ for the injury. 3 successful attacks.
Alex starts the fight dealing damage with the first attack.
Anya parries an enemy blow, then deals damage with the remaining 2 attacks.
Disgustingly resilient, 8 dice at 5+. 2 wounds ignored.
With 4 wounds sustained, my leader is now left with only 2 wounds. Ouch.
Alex is left with 6 wounds.
Change of plans. With the enemy gunner guarding the rear area, my grenadier can't move in that direction without taking damage, so Lokin also enters the room and passes his turn.
Marvin re-enters the room and shoots the Marine near my plasma with his Blight launcher. 4 shots at 3+. What a terrible roll. Just 2 hit.
3+ to save with 2 dice. Nope, what a failure. 8 wounds suffered and Ronald is not doing very well. 4 wounds left. All in all, this round was neither too good nor too bad. I managed to enter the central sector and both access routes are open. I managed to take out the enemy leader and that was quite a hit. Now I will have to try to eliminate the remaining enemy models and then take control of the objectives. I'm quite confident.
At the end of the turn, I gain 1 more victory point thanks to the TAC Op Central Control, reaching 2. In the next round, I absolutely need to find a way to block Simone's operatives from entering the room, and if my gunners manage to eliminate some more Marines, it would be even better.
Ronald can't stand the terrifying smell coming from the Plague Marine in front of him and tries to eliminate the problem by shooting him 4 shots at 4+ for the injury. Though it's successful.
No penetration, so saving with 3 dice at 3+. Save!
This smell persists. We need to use more direct ways. Ronald charges the Plague Marine and fights, making 5 attacks at 4+. 1 critical hit and 1 normal.
Luna responds with 3 attacks at 3+. 2 crits and a normal hit.
Oops, Ronald will not end well. With the critical dice, I deal damage.
And Luna eliminates the Marine with a smelly strike. Rolling for Disgustingly Resilient. 3 wounds ignored. Since Luna eliminated an enemy in combat, I can reveal the attack Hope, Rob and Ransack, gaining 1 victory point.
What a terrible end! Another Marine has been eliminated.
Luna is down 2 for wounds, and then she activates. She aims the Marine outside the room and shoots him 4 normal shots at 3+. 1 crit and 2 normal hits.
I need to save a 3+ with 2 dice. Just a critical defense. 10 wounds sustained is a lot. Mirko has only 2 wounds and is injured.
Luna goes in cover behind the central console with movement and dash.
My leader cannot survive in combat with low wounds, so he decides to retreat and shoot the Black Marine in front of him from a distance. 4 shots at 4+ with the plasma pistol. 1 critical hit and 2 normal hits.
-1 penetration, so saving with 2 dice at 3+. Just 1 save. Rolling for Disgustingly Resilient. 2 wounds ignored are not enough to keep Alex alive, so he's forced to leave the battlefield.
And with this model eliminated, I also scored the second victory point of the Tac Op route.
Marvin dashes to have the Grenadier inside and then shoots in 4 shots at 3+. Just 3 normal hits.
Lock-in saves with 2 dice at 3+. I use a command point to reroll a dice. Better, 2 shots saved. 4 wounds suffered, so 11 wounds left for my Grenadier.
With the last action, Marvin moves back in cover.
Lock-in decides to charge the Marine in the center of the room to contest the objective. Then he fights with him, making 5 attacks at 3+. 3 successful attacks.
Anderson responds with 3 attacks at 3+. 1 crit and 2 normal hits.
To avoid losing the model, I defend a hit with the first dice.
To avoid suffering too many wounds, I defend with the first dice.
With the second attack, Lock-in deals damage.
Anderson deals damage with the crit. Disgustingly Resilient at 5+. 3 wounds ignored. Good job!
Assault intercessors can take 2 combat actions, then Lock-in attacks again with 5 attacks at 3+. Wow. Awful. 1 critical hit and 1 normal.
Again, 3 dice at 3+. 2 hit.
As before, I defend a hit with the first dice.
Anderson deals damage with his attack.
And I deal damage with the critical hit.
Rolling again for Disgustingly Resilient. 2 wounds ignored.
At the end of all this, my Marine charged and took the beating. 2 wounds left.
4 wounds suffered. Nice fight. Anderson enjoyed the fight so much that he wants to fight again. 3 attacks at 3+. Okay, rerolling 1 with a command point. Better. This dice is enough to eliminate his opponent.
Unfortunately, I can't do anything to save him. I can only say goodbye.
Then Anderson goes on guard.
Nur seeks a position with a good view of the enemy, but remains in cover. He then fires at the Marine holding the plasma with the auxiliary grenade launcher. 4 shots at 3+. 1 critical hit and 2 normal hits.
-1 penetration, so saving with 3+. Just 1. Disgustingly Resilient. Close, but not enough. Luna falls to the ground unconscious.
Mirko has too few wounds to be able to do anything useful, so he decides to take cover by leaving the room. Okay, I didn't expect to have to struggle so much to get into the central sector. My Marines should perform well in combat, but in this case, against the Death Guard, they are getting spanked. I'm left with only few models, so in the next turn I have to be able to outwit Andrea and make the most of their characteristics. I'm still able to win, it will be a battle to the last dice.
Wow, this round went so good. I'm impressed, but I haven't won yet. Simone has the initiative, so he can still deal massive damage to my Marines. At the end of the round, I gain 4 victory points since Simone has no operatives in my drop zone.
At the start of the round, I use a command point for "and they shall know no fear." This ploy allows me to ignore my model's injuries. The first to activate is my gunner, and he uses a dash to move inside the room next to the door. He then opens fire with the auxiliary grenade launcher on the Marine holding the blight launcher. 4 shots at 3+. Exactly the dice roll I was hoping for. Just 1.
Saving with 2 dice at 3+. Saved!
My intercessor can fire twice, so he takes the Stalker Bolt rifle and fires again. 4 shots at 3+. Almost worse than before. 2 normal hits.
-1 penetration again. Just 1 save. Disgustingly Resilient. All wounds ignored. Awesome! Since I don't want to expose my operatives, Marvin goes on guard.
Anya charges the Plague Marine next to the objective, hoping to eliminate him permanently. It's a risky move, but it's the only thing I can try. 5 attacks at 2+. All hit including a critical one.
Anderson responds with 3 attacks at 3+. I need to hit at least 2. Just 1. Rerolling 1 with a command point? Really?
The attempt was successful. With the first attack, I parry a blow from the enemy, then I deal damage with the rest of the attacks.
17 dice to ignore at 5+. 9 wounds suffered. It's okay. I can still eliminate him. I spend 1 command point for the tactical ploy, Effluent Demise, and deal D3 wounds to the enemy leader. Rolling the D3? Just 1. Is this a joke? Anderson falls to the ground.
Incredible! He's still alive! 1 wound left.
Since the enemy leader terminated an action with the invasion of Marvin, he can shoot him Overwatch thanks to the guard action. 4 shots at 4+. Just 1 hit.
With penetration -1, I have 2 dice to roll a 3+. No problem.
I can't believe it! Since I have no more operatives to activate, I can shoot Overwatch with Marvin. 4 more shots at 4+ on the enemy leader. I see. All missed.
I can't believe Enya managed to survive. The last to activate is Mirko, who enters the room with movement and dash and positions himself next to the objective, taking control of it. And with that, ends the game. The victory belongs to the Space Marines. Incredible! It's been a long time since we've played such a hard-fought game. It was really difficult to play and the outcome remained uncertain until the last dice roll. I'm really happy with how I managed the game, although I would have expected a lot more from the Marines in combat. The water plant has been secured. The population is safe for the moment. A great victory for the Space Marines.
What a throw! I was so close to the victory, but the dice decided to mock me and miss every single roll. I don't think I could have done much more to win. This mission failed, but the tunnels are still under the Death Guard's control. I guess Nargol will want to have a word with my team.
Before finishing, we would like to take a moment to thank our members who have decided to support us on Patreon. And if you guys want to support the channel and enjoy an additional and exclusive battle report per month, or see your models showcased in our videos, the Patreon link is in the description. We are waiting for you on Discord.
And if you have come this far, write the word SPANK in the comments to let us know. You are the best. And if you are not yet subscribed, subscribe to the channel. If you like the video, leave a like and write us in the comments. We are always curious to know what you think.
That's it, guys!
See you next video!